I have to know where you are to be able to get you to the next step, right? So the one thing that people don't realize is the reason why the government cannot truly help us because they don't really know who we are. They create material for the world. Well, if you create material for everybody, half of that stuff probably don't apply to me, which means I'm stuck, and then I never make it to the next place. The one thing about me is I like to help people move the needle. In order for me to be able to help you move the needle, I have to know where you're at and where you're trying to go. So the intake form is very important because guess what? We looked up everybody that filled out the intake form. I already know about your company. I didn't know who's attached to the company, but I've already done my research for your company. I'm going to tell y'all a lot of stuff that nobody else is going to tell you. The reason being is because if I'm not honest with you, I must be honest with you to actually help you win. Okay? Now, believe it or not, you are a number to the government.
Okay.
That's it. Your number. So when they're pushing you to do things, it is not for you. It is for them. Okay? So you got to keep that in mind because you think, oh, they're trying to help me. No, they're not. They're trying to help themselves. Okay? But when people like this come together, when one wins, all of us win. And we can genuinely, truly help each other. I can tell you right now, every IT cybersecurity company in here, you are doing yourself a disservice if you don't leave with the other person's contact information. Because there's going to come a time that you see a large contract that you cannot do by yourself. You are going to need support. You are going to need other people in that field to help you actually win. And if you don't know anybody, you in trouble. You don't have anybody to go on the contract with you. I got a contract due tomorrow. I reached out to one of my mentees. I was like, hey, I need one of your past performance. I need you to hurry up. It's due tomorrow. Because in order for I wrote hers and I wrote mine. And she beat me. Brand new company. Beat me. Know why? Because government didn't want to pay me what I wanted for it. So they went to the next best. And they still got that contract awarded. So everything and everybody moving forward, you need to be thinking about what can we do together? Who do I know? What do you do? What do I do? How can we work together? Now, as I mentioned earlier, we looked y'all up. So Wanda and I are gonna give y'all a little bit of feedback about what we saw. Okay, we couldn't pick everybody. We picked three of y'all. All right. One of the things I want y'all to keep in mind is that in this arena and from this day forward, you need to make sure that you are in position that when anybody look you up, they see what you want them to see. Okay? The government don't know you. They are not your friend. They are regular people just like us. So one of my clients just said the other day to me, she was like, Coach, they reached out to me and they wanted to know why I didn't bid on the contract. She was flabbergasted. She's like, how do they know that I looked at that contract but I didn't bid? Well, when the government asked you to download that document, what do you think they was doing? Collecting information. She literally downloaded a document and they knew she was interested in that contract. Because in these portals, you got to log in. You had to log in. So you downloaded this contract and they knew she did not bid. So she said, what does that mean? I said, first of all, that means they didn't get enough response. So now they're trying to figure out what made you not bid on that contract. So they can go and change it and they can put it back out. But she was shocked that they knew she didn't bid. So what do y'all think they did the minute that they saw that she downloaded it but didn't bid? They went and looked her up. All this time, she don't know none of this is going on. She don't know. She don't know. She just think she downloaded the document and that was it. They done looked her up already. So now they're like, she could have won that contract. Why didn't she bid? So you got to make sure you stay in position that when a contracting officer or a PM or anybody in the government arena, a core, go look you up, they see what you want them to find. What was the first thing I told y'all? You can find me everywhere. And the one thing you'll see when you find me is I'm very consistent. Very consistent. What you see on one thing, you're going to see on the other thing, and you're going to see I am about my business. You're going to see that everywhere. So my job was to look up C2H. So I'll tell y'all, when you did the intake form, the first thing I was looking to see how much you filled out, right? Now remember, I don't know your face. I don't even know your name. All I know is what you gave me, right? Keep in mind, people can only see what they can find on you. That's it. So the first thing I did was like, they got a capability statement. Let me download that. So I download their capability statement. I'm like, oh, they put that they won 2 contracts. Let me go verify it. So I went to go verify. And they absolutely won both contracts that they told me they won. And the amount that they said they won. Because you'll be surprised, people like, yeah, I want a $500,000 contract. And then I go look it up. Contract was on $10,000. Fool, you told me it was $500,000. They can see that. Okay. The other thing that caught my attention was they said we want a DOD contract. I'm like, BS. You ain't no DOD contract as a new person. Tell that to somebody who don't know. They want 2 DOD contracts. So I'm like, who are these people? So then I go and look at their website. Now, the only thing that I did not look at is your LinkedIn. You know why? Because you can tell when I'm looking at your LinkedIn. So I'm not going to go over there because then you're going to be like, well, why is Latasha on my, oh, she looking for something. I'm going to go everywhere else except where you expect me to go. And everything they said they did, they did. Very rare. Very rare. You really don't get that. Now, as a business coach, I'm like, well, hold on. You won 2 DoD contracts, if I'm not mistaken, 2024? 2024? Yeah, 2024 and 2025. So I'm like, 2024, 25, 26. They got past performance. They've worked with the largest agency. What we doing? Why don't we have more? What we waiting on? Got me a long time ago. So now let me tell y'all something. Pretend they're not in the room. Okay? Pretend they're not in the room. As a coach and as a contractor, this need to be my best friend. You know why? They got the best agency as a past performance. You can actually look them up. They actually do what they say they do. They're actually clean everywhere. And although the contract wasn't millions of dollars, they're the most powerful people in this room. They're even more powerful than me. You know why? I don't do federal government. You'll never be able to find a federal contract up under my name. I don't like the federal government. They make too many rules and they control too many things. However, these people got something I don't have. So then I say, well, okay, how do I trick them? Technically, that's what I'm doing. I got to meet these people. And when I meet these people, one, I got to see if they're serious. Are they really about this life? Why they only got 2 contracts and then quit, which is what most people do. Because I guarantee you, it probably wasn't easy. They probably don't know how they did it, and they probably don't know how to repeat it, which is the goal. Learn it, execute it, repeat it. They don't know what to do with it. They're the most powerful people sitting in this room, and they probably don't even know what to do with it. And then that's where I come in. See, I can find the contract. I can write the contracts. I can build the team. The only thing I need you to do is do the work because I can't do that part. Now, we are going after 3 to 5 contracts a month. Now, I ain't doing none of the work except the administrative stuff. And now, both our families are eating. I don't know these people. But what I know is that these people bring something to the table. If I sit at this table with them, we got something we can do. And that's what you're looking for moving forward. How can you leverage them? What do they have and what do they need? And guess what? I will become the superstar. I come in their life and now they got 15 contracts. They don't know how I did it. They just know it's working and they want to keep it going. And now we got a relationship for the rest of our lives. True story, my prime. So the reason I don't go after federal contracts is because I got people in my life that win large contracts and all they do is contract me to do work for them. So my prime just announced on social media 2 weeks ago, they just won a $1.5 billion contract. Now, I thought they were doing something when they won the $430 million contract last year. And the year before that, they won a $67 million event planning contract. I thought they were doing something. When I got that text message and said, check my status, and that thing said $1.5 billion, that's their ceiling for this contract. Now, last year, they were no longer considered a small business because they won that $430 million contract. It knocked them out of small business. And that's where I come in at. I got all these mentors. I've mentored over 1,700 people. If they still want a piece of that pie, they have access to it through me. But now they winning $1.5 billion contracts. They don't need nothing else if they don't want it. But see, these are real contractors. You won't whatever little piece of the pie that you can get, and you want to keep it going. Okay? So, any questions about them, how I found them, what I saw, what it meant, and how that applies to everybody in the room? My only thing would be if I was a contracting officer, I would be saying, why aren't they getting more? What's stopping you? Could you not really do the work? Do you not have the infrastructure to handle it? You're the perfect person. Why aren't you getting more? That would have been my only thing. What's stopping you?
For us, we were able to build relationships and find our way into the right rooms, and then get the contracts, and then being in those spaces. Sometimes those folks leave.
Yep.
And then now
you're trying to do it all over again.
So we've been working through the relationship side. Now we're trying to learn how do we do it going in the front door through the writing of the proposals.
Yep. Yep. And that's the biggest thing, y'all. There's a lot of puzzle pieces. The government is the hardest client to ever work with. The reason being is because there's so many ways you can work with them. You got state, you got local, and you got federal. Most people come in and they're trying to do it all. Notice I said I don't touch federal at all. You can go look up every company of mine. You will never see a federal contract up under that. Because state and local do enough for me. I don't want to go and play by their rules. Now, there are people like them that I would tell them, yeah, you can get state and local, but keep doing what you're doing in that federal arena because you've already got the largest agency up under your belt. They trust you, and you're a vet. You're one of the most powerful people on this earth. You can get any contract you want to get. But the problem is that you have to go after the contracts to actually win them. So if you're not bidding, you will never win. You must bid to win. So I teach my people to write goals. How many are you going to bid on a month? What does that look like? What type of contracts are you bidding on? In what arena? State, local, or federal? Now, let me tell you another secret. Because that CR ends on the 31st, we are technically in a unofficial use it or lose it. Technically, our use it or lose it is not until May, up until September. But because we have a budget that's about to end on the 31st, the government has to get rid of that money before it starts over. So right now, people like, one of my mentees just asked me the other day, she's like, how can I go after some how can I submit an unsolicited proposal? I said, well, why are you submitting the unsolicited, which is you begging the government to do something that you created, instead of you going after the opportunities that they've already created? That's already approved. You know how many signatures you got to go through to get an unsolicited approved? Go after the money that they got to get rid of in the next 2 weeks, instead of trying to convince them to do a program that they don't know about, they haven't gotten approved, and it's going to take you a long time to get it approved. And when February 1st, or whenever they approve it, now the money starts all over again. And guess what? Because they're so behind, they're going to quickly have to get rid of it again. We're already in the new year. They're already in Q2. They got to spend that money. You need to be in position to be able to get a piece of the pie. Wanda, can you talk about one of the companies, just one? And don't say the name. I want you to be a little bit more harsher than I was, okay? Don't say the name of the company. Just tell us what you found.
Okay, so let me apologize for being harsh, but I want to be truthful. So first, let me introduce myself. I'm Wanda Grayson. I'm the owner of Grayson Consulting. It's a financial education company, but I spent my 35 years in the federal government doing contracting in some capacity, either the core, the program manager, or the program you were trying to get the contract with. So when I reviewed this company, I looked at it from the eyes of the evaluator, because a lot of people try to form relationships with the contract officer. That's the wrong relationship. The relationship you need to form is with the program, because the program is the one that decides whether you stay or go. That's the one evaluating your proposal. So I reviewed this one company from the evaluator's perspective, and the interesting thing is what they put as their key indicators, their 3 offers for the government is exactly what I found on the website. But it was mechanical. It didn't sound human. It didn't have words in it that satisfied what I needed. It didn't fix my pain points. It described what the company did, but it didn't tell me how what the company did could help me. In addition to that, as I went through the website, one of the things that I thought was key was that they have a certification program that they didn't even mention. And I'm like, if you doing certifications, that's defense-wide, federal-wide, and that's critical to building and sustaining strong organizations. And that needs to be one of your primary things that you state as one of your key offers, because that might be your differentiator. The other thing that I looked at, when I looked at their services, the way the services were described was insulting. So the executive coaching language says, we help senior leaders improve decision making. I'm a senior leader. That's one of my core competencies. If you got to help me improve my decision making, then you just told me I don't know how to make decisions. Verbiage is important. I don't need you to help me improve, but I do need you to potentially enhance my ability to make better decisions during times of resource constraints and transitions and all the things that give me pain when I'm asked to do more with significantly less. I need you to balance my stress with your training, because I don't really have time to sit there and develop a strategy to understand how to get you more with less, because I'm already pissed off because you took my resources and made me do more. So I do need somebody to come in and talk to me and help me develop a strategy. So it's important that not only what you say is important about who you are, but the most important thing about what you say when I look you up is, don't tell me what you do, tell me how what you do helps me. In addition to that, when they came in the room and they did the introduction, they said that one of their capabilities was something I didn't even see on the website. You have to be consistent, because as an evaluator, when I start looking you up, I'm skimming. I may have 10, 20 proposals. And the thing about proposals, sometimes you may have seen their pages are limited. Mm-hmm. Well, if the limit is 20 pages and I have 20 proposals, I really don't have time to read 400. So I'm skimming. And if I look you up and I see something I like, and then I look you up and it's contrary, I'm moving on. That's the thing you got to remember about the government customer you're trying to be in bed with. Their time is precious. It's something about their mission that required them to reach out for some additional resources. The last thing you want to do is be a resource that makes it difficult or hard.
Oh, you right on time too. You're
okay, then. All right, then. Mm-hmm.
All right, we're gonna move into understanding the government landscape. All right, I'm gonna talk to y'all about why government contracting, the opportunities for vets, and then I'm gonna talk to y'all about how the process works, and then we're gonna talk about terminology. Okay, let's start with why the government. By law, they have to spend this money every 12 months. Okay, 700 billion. Right now, it's shooken up right now. They're doing a lot of crazy things, but I'm gonna tell y'all a secret. Right now, this is so bad. Do I have any federal employees in here before I start running up? Okay, I got one. All right, close your ears. Act like you in here. Within, I contracted when Trump was in office the first time, his first term. Okay. At that time, he started attacking them then. He just didn't realize how much power he had. Okay. Once he realized this term how much power he had, the first thing he did was went after his own people. But here's the thing. They built that federal government over 300,000 employees. Even when you get rid of 120,000 of them, the work must get done. The money still has to be spent. When Trump was in office the first time, he got rid of a couple of employees and then he brought contractors in. But here's the crazy part. He'll pay me 3 times the amount he'll pay him. So it doesn't make sense. You're not cutting any costs. You're moving money around and the numbers still aren't. That's why all these agencies keep failing their audits. The numbers still don't make sense. However, because the attack is coming from the inside, and right now all he cares about is the federal employees, contractors, y'all got to slide right on in and take over. They are attacking the 8A program. When they sent out that notice, we've been on so many White House calls right now. They consider some of us as small businesses, not influencer. They call us something else, right? So they invite us to these calls so they can give us information for us to come back and tell y'all all the information, right? But I'm a dangerous person. Don't tell me, because I'm telling them the truth. Okay, you want me to tell them the version you want me to tell them, but I'm gonna tell them the truth about what's going on. Well, unfortunately, they're getting rid of. They sent out this notice for the 8A program. Now, for some reason, so the first time I was going after my 8A, I had this black woman come and tell me, do not go after that 8A. I don't care what the government tell you, do not do it. Practice for 10 years in government contracting, and then you go after your 8A. So for the last 2 years, I've been trying to get my 8A, y'all. 2 years. I've been doing this 14 years. So I listened to her. I waited like she said, and then I went into the process. First thing that helped me back was taxes. They were like, y'all just retired. You no longer reside in Florida, which was our residency when he was in the military. You're now Virginia. You owe Virginia state taxes. Stop me from doing my 8A. Well, for those 2 years that I got stopped from doing the 8A, it was for a reason. Because now the government just came out and said everybody in that program, regardless of who you are, you must give me 3 years of your personal bank account, 3 years of your business bank account, and I want access to every bank account that you got. Wait, so you want my taxes for my personal life, my taxes for my business, and access to all my bank accounts? Because what they're trying to do is expose the waste, fraud, and abuse. Well, first of all, I can just tell y'all right now, minorities don't even know how to balance bank accounts. A lot of commingling of funding. So they're going to automatically knock these people out the program, put these people in jail. I got 2 clients right now under federal indictment. One of my clients made $7 million in 2024. The government knocked on her door last week and they said, you've done great in the 6 years that you've been in business, but in 2024, you did $2.9 million in fraud. So my thing is, girl, if we did 4 million legal, why would you turn around and do 2.9 illegal? It doesn't make sense. Doesn't make sense because we get greedy. You asked me to help you get a piece of the pie. I got you that piece of the pie. You wanted more. So the thing that they're doing with this 8A is they're going to do the same thing. They're going to go and do all these indictments. They're going to knock on all these doors. They're going to knock all these people out of this program. They're going to put these people in jail. They're going to ask these people to pay money back. I have a friend. We in a meeting. His daughter come in, and of course, anytime you work with me, it's nothing off limits. Everybody know you can trust me. We good. She come in and she's like, Dad. Oh, okay, Dad. You want me to keep that jet on the balance sheet? You talking about the jet he just took for his birthday and he put all over social media? That jet? That private jet is going to get him in so much trouble. You can all this. He just won a $64 million government contract. And now you got the 8A program saying, give me your bank statements, both personal and business. Give me your taxes, both personal and business. Now, there is a legal way you can do everything and not get in any trouble. Ask me how I know. One of my clients, the 2 that's under federal indictment, one of them called me 9 times last week. Do y'all know who the federal government is listening to right now? Me, the FBI. They're listening to me right now. Why? Because they're trying to figure out why that lady called me 9 times in 1 week. She gotta be an accomplice, okay? I told my husband I ain't never did fraud a day in my life. I don't got nothing to worry about. They can look at everything they want to look at. When they knocked on her door, guess what they asked her? When you took that girlfriend trip, they knew everything she did, every dollar she spent. They knew everything. She couldn't believe it. This is real life. And I'm thinking, why did you even take? And here's the problem. She didn't do nothing. This lady has been home for the last 3 years. She has 50 employees. She pays people to do her billing. She paid people to do her CPA. She paid people to do her taxes. She don't know how to do none of that. It was other people that did it, but because she is the CEO, she takes the hit. When she goes in front of that grand jury on the 22nd, she cannot have an attorney. She cannot bring out one employee. The attorney told her, you can't even say, Wanda did my billing. Wanda's responsible. They don't care. You're the CEO. You take full responsibility of that company. That means you also go to jail when somebody in your company is not doing what they're supposed to do. So you got the 8A program that's under attack. Now you know who they can't bother? They can't bother y'all. VOSB is the only program so far that has not been touched. Why? Because it would be an outrage. You know how many of y'all it is? The minority certification, first thing attacked. The women's certification, next thing attacked. The 8A, third thing attacked. Now he might still come after y'all, but I doubt it. I doubt it. So y'all are vets. Y'all have more power than any of those other programs because it's more of y'all than it is of them. I remember when I started helping people get their WSB certification, it was only like 4 4,000 companies certified at the time. You remember, you talking about all these women in the world, and only 4,000 could get the set aside contract because nobody else was certified.
How many VOSB?
I don't know, and we need to look into that. How many VOSB companies
I
there
mean,
are?
in here.
Oh, how many are VOSB in here?
WOSB.
That's the woman. Yeah, VOSB, the veterans. That's the SBA one. Then you got a state it's not VOSB, but you got a state VBE is normally Veteran Business Enterprise. You want to be yeah. You want to be state and federal. Okay? State and federal. The federal one just changed. So if you are not VOSB or SDVOSB, please get it now. They just changed their program a year ago. It's the easiest process ever. Before it was just like joining the military. You had to tell people, you give them your life over. But now it is like this. Get it. It makes you stand out. It makes you different. By law, they have to give y'all so many opportunities. Now, another thing people don't understand is veteran companies are the most profitable and the longest sustainable companies in the world. I want y'all to go research what companies out there are veteran-owned companies. And they're so quiet with it because they don't want everybody to get a piece of the pie. But I need y'all to know that's leverage for you. I am a vet. I am trained. I know what not to do. Y'all ain't doing fraud. Hopefully not. Because y'all got more common sense. So y'all have things to lose. Regular people don't have nothing to lose. So they trust y'all. Leverage that. Now, you know the government got to spend money. You know by law the government has to do it a certain way. You know that the government contracts on multiple levels. State, state, county, and federal. Now, I don't know why. I'm dyslexic, y'all, right? County, state, then federal. Okay? Each process does it differently. Every process does it differently. Every contract is going to be different. Okay? You will never see in 14 years, I've never seen two of the same type of contracts. I've never wrote the contract the exact same twice. Every contract that you get is different. You have over 400 agencies. That means if one agency got HUD had like 7 different programs. All those programs had all these people up on it. That's how many people you talking to when you're dealing with contracts. Now, nobody knows this. Wanda's actually teaching this at our summit that's coming up next month. There's this clause called the surge. They have changed the surge clause and they've made it agency-wide. So now what they're trying to do, because of the workforce being so limited, they are trying to award agency-wide contracts instead of independent contracts for everything. Because all those different contracts take a lot of work. So if they do an agency-wide contract, like we just bid it on in Ohio, an event planning agency-wide contract, that means my company, solely me, will be responsible for all the event planning for that agency. They are moving to that now because they don't have the workforce to do 1,000,000 contracts. The process is too long. So now y'all are a step ahead of everybody because nobody else knows what these agency-wide contracts are. They don't even know how to find them. You want to look for those agency-wide contracts because you're knocking all the rest of the competition. Now it's hard because how can you bid an agency-wide contract? You don't know what events they got coming up. It don't matter. When them people award you for that agency, you better be prepared to be able to work. Because now instead of you doing it for one person, you might be doing it for 100 people, 100 different decision makers. Okay? So you got why the government do it, why y'all are so important. Please, in the next 2 weeks, get your VOSB certification. Please. It is free. You're going to go directly to the SBA website and get that certificate. I don't care about no other certification, but get that federal certification. And make sure I ain't missing nothing. Oh, no. Yes, SBA.gov. And then if you type in VOSB, or if you go to Google and you type in VOSB, just make sure you go to the SBA link, not no other link, because they're gonna try to get you. All right, so how the process works, you got different ways, okay? You have solicitation, which is a bunch of different ways. You got RFPs, which is a request for a proposal. You have RFIs, you have RFQs, you have IDIQs. You got all these different ways you can solicitate with them, okay? You can go after an opportunity. The way that I like is when the government put out a opportunity. The government put out a RFP. They are requesting for my proposal, and then I respond. Now, back in the day, they would get 3 to 5 proposals. Now that AI is writing everybody proposals, they may get up to 100 proposals. Their job is to knock as many people out because they ain't got time to go through all of those requests. They don't have time. They don't have time. So what they try to do is they try to deem people as unresponsive. That means that they told you that there was a 15-page limit and you did 16 pages, boom. Sorry, you didn't follow the rules. That means that they told you that they needed somebody that can handle the whole state. True story. I did this with the SBA. SBA was like, we need a nationwide project. I was like, well, for the state of Virginia, I can do this. They like, girl, we said the nation, and you talking to us about the state. Boom, knock me out. They're looking, that means they said the budget was 100,000 and you did 120,000. Sorry, you're not in our budget. Knock you out. They're looking for ways to knock you out. So it's going to be very important for you to understand you have to comply with what they're asking for. If you don't, you are going to be deemed unresponsive. Okay? Now prepare yourself. You're going to get a couple unresponsive. Okay, I still get them now to this day. It is okay. It's a lesson learned. You're going to pick it up and you're going to do it again. Okay? Now, they put out a request and you respond. The number one question is, well, where are these requests at? Where do we find these requests? Well, first of all, you want to start with your state. Every state has a portal. If you are in Virginia, you are going to go to EVA. If you are in Maryland, you are going to go to EMA. Okay? But if you don't remember what I'm saying, you're going to go to Google and you're going to say Virginia State Portal. Maryland State Portal. 98% of the portals are free. Every state have one. Every state have one. Texas makes you pay $70 to look at the opportunities. There's like 2 other states that make you pay. Here's what you don't do. Do not register in 51 states because you are going to clutter your email and you're never going to see an opportunity. I have a rule of 3. Okay? Rule of 3. My favorite state is Maryland. My sister state is Virginia. And my third favorite state is North Carolina. North Carolina and Maryland is like sisters. They love their minority. They don't care what the government got going on. They're going to take care of their people. Now, depending on what your industry is, you might like another state. You might like California. Here's a trick. Do not register in California. Do not register your business in California because California is going to hit you with an $800 tax fee the next year. It's the only state that does that. So what I do is I partner with companies in California so that I don't get hit with that $800 tax fee and I'm still able to go after those contracts. Texas is a great state. Texas is a great state. But Texas is going to charge you to go look at the contracts. So I get my friend logged in to go and look at all the contracts under my friend logged in. Why am I paying y'all $70 every year? So you're going to want to be registered in your state. In order for you to be registered in your state, you must know what you're telling the government you do. On your clipboard, on the second page, you see one of my old company's capability statement. In order for you to register in any portal, hey, look what I got. C2H, look what I got. I had done printed y'all capability statement and everything. Yeah. On that capability statement, you see those NAIC codes. The government talks numbers and letters. That's all they talk, numbers and letters. You must know what you're telling the government that you do in order for you to register in these portals. Now, in some of the state portals, you're going to see a code called a PSC. P for Papa, S for Sam, C for Charlie. You can convert your NAIC code to a PSC code all with Google. You just tell, my primary code is 541611. I will go to Google and say, convert 541611 to a PSC code. Google automatically do it for you. Those are the codes you're going to put in with your state portal because your NAIC code is a federal code. Okay? There's some other codes, SCC, all of that. I don't do nothing with none of them. And when I registered in the state portal, I never looked at a PSC code again. I can't even tell you what my PSC codes are. because I don't look at them. Don't touch them. The rule is don't be out there with 15 to 20 NAIC codes because there's no way you could do 15 to 20 different things. You want to keep it anywhere between 6 and 10. Okay? Now, remember, every industry that you touch, you should have a capability statement for that industry. Because what happens if you say I do IT, they don't want to be looking at no event planning. Which one do you really do? Do you do IT or do you do event planning? So we actually, how many of you have heard of the NCMA, the National Contract and Management Association? All right, I'm the president of my chapter. We have an event coming up. We're actually doing live matchmaking at this event. It is the only national contracting association that the government recognizes. You'll get all the contracting officers, all the program managers. You'll get a lot of primes to show up. They all looking for you. I did one last year. We did our end of the year celebration. I had 6 contracting officers in there. One of them was Black. After everybody in there having a good time, celebrating all our wins, she stood up and she said, I have 6 IT contracts on my desk right now. Because we did introduction. She said, I don't know not one of y'all IT companies. They all live right down the street from each other. She didn't know them. They didn't know her. She got 6 contracts on her desk. She said, don't let me get back to work on Monday. And y'all don't have y'all proposals in for these contracts. That's how easy it is for you to miss money in your own backyard. You mean to tell me an agency got your contract sitting on her desk and she got 6 of them and she don't know who you are? That's why outreach is so important. If they don't know about you, they can't do business with you. They have to know that you exist in order for them to be comfortable to do business with you. So in order for you to register in your state, you got to know your codes. You got to know what you're telling the government that you do. I'm going to help y'all at the end of this training. I'm going to help y'all get your keywords together because your keywords is going to be your best friend. Okay? That is what's going to help you be able to tell the government what you do. All right? So the government put out a solicitation and you respond. Okay? One thing I want y'all to keep in mind, never go on a contract by yourself. Never. You will never win. Because what happens is if you get sick, who gonna work that contract? The government is looking for the lowest risk possible to award the person with the lowest risk possible to award that contract with. Well, if you say, well, I'm Latasha Brooks and I do everything by myself. Well, what happens if Latasha Brooks gets sick? Who gonna do that contract? Oh, now you mean to tell me my contract not being worked? Not me and you in trouble. So you always want to have a team. My rule, my thumb rule, 3. I always have at least 3 people on the team. Now, let me tell y'all a secret. That does not mean all 3 people getting paid on that contract. Because it might not be a contract that actually 3 people need to do the work. But because I've studied the government, I know that they're never going to give it to me just by myself. So I build relationships with people that understand the government like me now. You know that all 3 of us might be on this contract, but really, he might be doing all the work. This contract, he might be the only person that get paid. But the next contract, we rotate, and now it's his time to get paid. And then the next time, it's my turn to get paid. But as a favor, I'm going to get on your contract for you, and you're going to come and get on my contract for me. The problem is most people don't have people to go on contract with them. And if you don't have anybody that go on the contract with you, you are not going to win that contract. Now, you don't want to just put anybody on there. You'll be surprised. My mentee's like, put my mama on there. Yeah. My mama go on it. Your mama ain't got nothing to show that she can take a piece of that contract to make. They're not looking for somebody that do everything. They're looking for this program manager. They're looking for this administrator. They're looking for this subject matter expert. Well, wait. You got the subject matter expert. You got the program manager that's going to make sure we do everything we're supposed to do. Then you got the administrative to do all of the invoicing and the internal work. And now the subject matter expert get to focus on being the subject matter expert. That's a nice team. You got everybody you need. But if you say, I'm the program manager, I'm the invoice administrator, and I'm the subject matter expert, and I'm the lawyer, I'm going to do the compliance too, can you really do all of that? You can't. So you need a strong team to make you look good. The lady my mentee that I reached out to and told her I need her past performance, she's actually a principal of a school. Well, the contract is about curriculum development. She got a PhD. I ain't got that. We're perfect together. I'm the subject matter expert. She's the principal with the PhD. We're building a curriculum. Well, if I'm telling her what to do, she built a curriculum. That's the perfect team. We both bring something to the table. That's what you want to look for when you're responding. Now, my favorite prime, it's called Flatter, y'all. If you ever want to go look them up, Flatter. Flatter is my favorite prime. Okay, they come to all my events. They subcontract with all my people. They the go. They just won a 6.6. I talked to y'all about them. They just won a $6.7 million contract with USDA. That contract is for like onboarding and finance and stuff like that. Flatter don't do that at all. They don't do that at all. But they brought a sub in that has already worked with that agency, and that's how they were able to win that contract. Because of the sub. It wasn't even my prime. But now my prime get a piece of the pie because the agency trusts them because of their track record. So now if the sub messed up, the agency knows that the prime is smart enough to say, all right, you acting up, but I'm gonna bring her in next. I might have to pay her more, but at least I know I got to get the job done because I got a lot on the line. 6.7 million is not a little bit of money, but that 6.7 million contract is only for 51 employees. They lost 200 employees, but that contract was to get 51 of them back. All right, I got 2 minutes. Hold on. I make sure I miss. All right, key terminology. So on the contract, every contract has a prime, PRIME. That is the person that responds to the government. Okay, and then some contracts have a sub. That is the person that only talks to the prime. That's it. Okay, on a contract, you are either going to be one or a few things. You are either going to be a prime, you are going to be a sub, or you are going to be an internal team member. Now, I only got 2 minutes, but I'm going to make this short. When you are an internal team member, so Wanda and I could be on contracts together. Wanda has her own company. I got my own company. But in this contract, it is smarter for Wanda to be an internal team member than to be a sub. Because sometimes when you have a sub on a contract, the government, remember what I told y'all, they're looking for the lowest risk. I always tell people, don't never have more than one sub. I had one company came to me and they said, we don't know why we lost this contract. You had 4 subcontractors on that contract. What you mean you don't know why? The government, like, who is actually doing the work? Why does it take 4 subs to be on one contract? Sometimes with all of her expertise, she's better as a internal team member than Wanda Grayson Consulting. Because remember, they're looking for the lowest risk. It's risky to have 2 companies on a contract sometimes. And sometimes it makes sense to have 2 companies on a contract. With my prime, that sub they brought in, it made sense because that sub, one, already had a relationship with that agency, and 2, the work was exactly what that sub did. That makes sense. Sometimes, like my mentee, she's going on the contract with me as an internal team member versus her being a sub. Okay? But on a contract, you're going to either be a prime or a sub. Only with the federal government, you can see awards for the subcontractors if they're actually listed as a sub. Okay? Regardless of how you're listed, there is a way you can still use that as past performance. And a lot of people don't understand that. I don't want to be just internal because now your company getting all of that. You can still use that as past performance. You still work that contract. So it still counts. Now it's going to show up a little bit different because if they call and they say, hey, I'm looking for Grayson Consulting, they don't know nothing about Grayson Consulting. But if they say, hey, did Wanda work that contract on the vinyl to vinyl? Oh, yeah. Wanda she might have worked that. I don't even know. It's all about how you word it and all about how you position it. And that comes with training. Sometimes you are not going to know. Should I be a prime? Should I be a sub? Should they be my internal? Is it a conflict? Nowadays, people can't trust people. You be telling me, Bray, come on in my internal. You gonna really pay me? I don't know. But that's why you build relationships with people. Wanda ain't ever worried about if I'm gonna pay her or not. I got a client right now that her contract is a reimbursement contract. That means she got to pay up front. Then the government reimbursed her 30 days later. Well, I had to teach her how to build relationships with people that you say, hey, I got a government contract. You want to work this with me? Just know, government ain't going to pay me the 30 days later. You might not get paid until 45 days later. Because now I got to wait on it to clear. Wanda has to decide, do I want to take that risk or not? All right, that's Coach Brooks. I'm going to take it. The woman on her word. She ain't never not paid me. So you want to make sure you're building a relationship with people. So now, instead of me having to come up front to pay her $20,000, now I can wait until the government pay me, and then I can pay her $20,000, and everybody still got paid. All about relationships. Who you know, who you can trust, and who can help make it easier for you. Okay, I ain't do too bad. I'm like 2 minutes over, you know.
You fine.
All right, now, Wanda's going to talk to y'all about that procurement checklist. And Wanda got about 30 minutes, 28 minutes since I took 2 of them.
That's all right. It's okay.
Okay.
So before we get started with that, do you guys have any questions about anything so far? Yes.
It's gone away. So the UEI number on the SAM registration took over the DUNS number. So some companies still have it. If you go look up your DUNS, you can still see information about your company profile because that company didn't go away. They just lost their contract with the government. You a fool to lose your contract with the government when the government relied on you all these years. But they blew up so big and they wasn't handling the infrastructure. The government went and just created their own, and that's how we got birthed the UEI number.
So
but
I can take that off there.
You can take it off. Oh yeah, they've been going for like 3 years now. But the problem is people still use it to get information, and DUNS is not always accurate. So, but the government don't use it at all anymore. And you used to be required to have it, and ever since they lost that contract with the government, they don't care.
It's good to have it.
No, unless you're trying to get funding. So they're going to look at it because DUNS is supposed to report how much your company makes, but they're never accurate. So it's pointless. So.
So when you're talking about the internal number, can we use the past performance?
Yep. Yep, you can. So anytime I have the only reason why I have internal team members is to use their past performance. So the way that I do it, this is why my success rate, y'all. So I have an 85% success rate when I submit a proposal. The reason why my success rate is so high is because if I use me, you, and him on a proposal, I'm gonna make sure I'm just saying your name is Bill. DOD, Bill. So that way, if they call DOD, they know that's Bill's past performance. That ain't my past performance. And it's me being transparent up front so they don't feel like I tricked them. I do the same thing with this person. I put your past performance next to your name. Your reference, I put your name next to it. So that way, if they calling, they gonna get the right answer because they know who it came from. No. No. But here's the thing. So FTDS is going away. It's all of that information is being transferred over to SAM. They slow, but that's a part of the process. The government don't use FTDS. They use it to put information in. They don't use it to pull information out. They use the SBA system, the DSBS system. It will not transfer over there, but it can still help you win a contract.
Since we're going to be applying for state contracts, should we add the PS codes to the capability statement?
You can. So your capability statement should only be 1 page. That was another ding on y'all. Y'all is 2 pages, right? But let me also tell y'all something. I don't know if y'all saw that. This is their capability statement. Y'all see how pretty it is? I also checked to see if they had their actual certifications that they had on here. I went to check. I was like, let me see if they really have these. The other thing is a lot of y'all signed up with HireGov. Everybody know who HireGov is? Don't waste your money on them people. You're wasting your money. It's a third-party website that you probably don't even know how to use it the correct way. So they did pop up on HireGov or whatever those GovWins and all of those other. You don't need them. It's a waste of your money. But for theirs, what they had on those third-party sites actually matched what they had on their capability statements. Some of the other companies that we saw, your information didn't even match what they had because it's probably outdated information. So the thing about this is a living document. Now, the reason why you wanted to be 1 page, because if you have to email this, if you got to fax it over, back in the day we used to have fax. When you have to fax it over, you can't fax over 2 pages. You fax it over 1 page, front and back. But you don't want front and back because it's hard to fax that over. You want a single page that gets straight to the point, which is why I gave y'all an example of my old one. And then if you go on there, on that website I gave y'all, You actually get a template, which Wanda's going to go over that with y'all. And it's literally, that is the federal template that a company created about 30 years ago. And everybody in the federal government been looking for that type of capability statement. We call these corporate capability statements. Great for corporate America. You know why? Because it's colorful, it's pretty, they got all those logos and all that crap on it. With the federal government, you don't need none of that. They know where to find you at. They know how to verify you. They know how to check you if they need to. But if I were y'all, I would have both a corporate and a federal. Now you get to play in all the world. Any other questions? I done took up some more of her time. It's okay. It's all good. All right, Wanda, you done lost some time, but you up.
That's okay. Okay, so on the contract readiness checklist, so it looks like this. There are quite a few documents on it, but not all of them are documents. Like under the business foundation, a lot of that is systemic. It's you registering your business, determining the structure, LLC, S Corp, L Corp, whatever your situation is. That's done on in a system where you establish your core structure, you file your articles of organization and all of that. Your EIN number, you can do that in 2 minutes at the IRS website. That is essentially your business's social security number. That's how your business is identified for tax purposes by the IRS. The DUNS number is not necessary. The UE. So the UE is a SAM.gov document. So when you register and fill out the paperwork in SAM issues the UE. That's nothing more than your company's address. When they're looking for you, that's your specialty code.
Yep, and keep in mind, that number is what they use to find all the awards federally attached to you. So the reason why I got smart and I stayed with state and local is because I grew up in the hood. My family all want to be in my business and know how much money I made. With state and local, they don't report it that way. You got to actually know where to go find it to find somebody that have won a state or local contract. Federal government is required by law to track everything. So they take your UEI number and they put your UEI number in systems like USAspending.gov. I can just put your UEI number in there and it pulls up the contract that you've won. You can take that and put it in FPDS.gov and I can see the contract that you won. That is only for federal contracts.
And for those of you with nonprofits, you have to be registered in SAMs and have a UE to do grants as well.
Yep.
To do grants.gov. Okay. Your business address should be a physical address. Don't do a PO box. It almost says you don't exist.
Yeah.
And you want credibility. So if I can physically touch, attach, or link you to something, then that gives you credibility. If you got a PO box, I don't know where you are, you might be hiding.
And they don't accept them anymore. The reason being is because that's how they was doing a lot of money laundering. They were literally, you don't know who the company belongs to. That's how you hide money. So the federal government will never accept. And you might be like, oh, they're not going to know. They have a database that they put that phone number in and it tells them everybody that's registered at that address.
Yes. You want a professional email address. I mean, you may start out with Gmail and that's fine. I still got a Gmail because I got busy. Life happened and life is still happening for me. But you want to have a more professional email address, info@something.com or whatever the case may be. It's nothing more than, it's about your brand now. It's about your image. It says, I'm serious.
Yep.
Your capability statement.
Wait, he has a question.
I do have a question about, because we're working from home. So we were able to go through Virginia.gov or Virginia registered agent.
Yeah.
That our address is 8401 Mountain Drive, Richmond, Virginia.
Yep.
Right? Is that legit?
Yeah. So that's legit in a way. So the reason why, so this is so bad. Matter of fact, one of my mentees told me she got mail the other day that said, "Hey, Latasha," and she was like, "Said your name because you're my registered agent." In Virginia, anybody can register up under you, and you can become somebody's registered agent. People don't know that, right? So technically, by law, you can't serve a PO box. So they make you have a physical address in case somebody is trying to serve you. So that's where the registered agent comes in at. Depending on the address that registered agent is using is what's going to determine if SAM flag it or not. Because if they are using a virtual address because they don't really want people to know their address, it might get flagged. But if they actually have a business, then it won't get flagged. Now they may ask for a lease, which is what the SAM.gov is doing now. They're asking for a lease to be able to prove you actually got a real relationship at this business. Now, I tell people, if you go to a church don't mind giving you a lease. I got a 10,000 square foot building. I do government contracting. I know if you came to me and said, "Hey, I need to use your address. I need you to give me a lease," my attorney's not going to like it. Because my attorney will be like, you know what you're legally doing? But me, I'm like, do I want to take this risk? But it's like building those relationships because I know the only way you're going to get through to the government is if you have that lease.
This particular company give you a lease.
Then you're good.
They get a phone number, you get all that.
You're good.
Yeah.
You don't have nothing
because
to worry about.
Because it's a physical address.
Okay.
Yep.
Yeah.
Use your home address. So it depends. So here's the thing. I always tell brand new companies, start with your home address. The only way you don't start with your home address is if somebody is looking for you. Like I'm an influencer. I used my home address up until I got on TikTok. When the world found me and I blew up and got 600,000 people looking for me, that's when I changed my home address. But up until them 8 years, I used my home address. Nobody was looking for me. Nobody even knew how to find me because nobody knows that all that stuff is public records. Now that you know, now if you got enemies, don't use your home address because they coming. I heard a rap song and it was like, I caught my ops through the PPP. I was like, dang, PPP is public information. That's how they caught their ops.
Mm-hmm.
They got their address from the PPP law. But if nobody's looking for you, don't pay more money to go out and get a physical address when the first 6 months you're going to be practicing anyway. And nobody knows that it's public records and that's how they can find you unless they actually know. And if you're doing that much, that ain't a friend. You might need to get a restraining order against them if they're doing all of that.
Yes, ma'am.
What is
What's across
in
the
this
street?
plaza? Oh yeah, no, you can't use.
No.
Y'all, let me tell you a secret. Most of those are all like government buildings. So they know those addresses. When they pop it in that system, it's going to pick up as a FedEx, UPS. iPostal was one that people were. There was a time the internet tricked y'all. They were like, the only way you can get business credit is if you had a virtual address. That was a lie. And then you had all these people selling virtual business credit, yes, ma'am. Mm-hmm. Yep. Just like I tell people, don't lie about your education. It shows up on your background. Yeah. Somebody got on TikTok and was like, yeah, tell them you got a degree. They'll never know. I'm like, please don't do that. Please don't do that.
Well, okay, but since we're on that, understand something. That's a federal form you're filling out.
Yep.
So you're committing a felony.
Yep.
So is that lie really worth all that?
Yep.
You know.
So you say you can have a virtual, or
you cannot.
It depends.
You shouldn't.
If you can produce a lease, you can have it. Those type of places ain't giving you no lease. UPS, FedEx, they're not giving you a lease. There are companies, I can't think of the company, one of the virtual addresses, they caught on and they started giving people lease. That got shut down. So some people got through, and when you do a renewal, you don't have to produce nothing else. So if you in, you in. So that's why I'm careful about my terminology because technically you can't. But if you produce a lease, you probably, if somebody say, yeah, I got one with a virtual, it's because they produced a lease. Yeah. As long as you have a lease, you can get through.
Okay. So going down the list, documentation and marketing materials. So your capability statement is essentially, it's your resume for your business. It tells the government who you are, what you do. And the most important thing about that document is it tells the government how much risk you bring to their situation. If anything about your capability statement looks suspect, it's enough to knock you out because the government's not looking for risk. They're looking for relief. Okay, so just remember that. So we'll get into the capability statement later.
Also, keep in mind with the capability statement, y'all, because people get this confused. When you are responding to a solicitation, you're not giving them a capability statement. You are responding to that solicitation. Capability statements come in handy when you are doing matchmaking. You're not filling out a solicitation. You are sitting down with them. They're telling you about you. You're telling them about them. First thing they're going to ask you is, do you have a capability statement? What they do is they skim through that capability statement to see your NAIC code and your past performance. That's all they're really looking for. That's it.
And you have a capability statement. So in fact, we can just kind of hit it right now real fast. It's on your clipboard. And the capability statement essentially has, 6 components. Your company overview, who you are, your competencies, what you do, your past performance, which is essential, your differentiators, your company snapshots, which is your company information, and your NAICE codes. Your NAICE codes are essentially the parent code for what you do. So if I do financial consulting, that's a code. If I do inventory management, that's a code. And you want to be clear about that, because when you do sit with a matchmaker, they're looking to see, do your codes align with their mission?
Yes.
If your codes don't align with their mission, and it's not about being a waste of time. If your codes don't align with their mission, that's just not a good fit. Just move on to the next contractor or vendor.
The government. Please don't let your capability statement say that you do janitorial, you do medical, you do event planning, you do consulting, you do leadership. You don't do nothing. You really don't do
because
nothing.
The thing about your NACE codes and your past performance, your competencies, if you do janitorial and your NACE codes is administration, that's not the same thing. So your summary of what you do is not going to align with your NACE code. It's a misalignment. And the thing that the government does really fast, they eliminate really fast. That's easy, because that's essentially what they're looking for. They're looking for a way to rule you out. That's one less application they got to process. Okay. The other thing, the differentiator. If there's something about your company that differentiates you from, say, the competition, now you're not going to know what that is, but you know what you do. If you are a company going after a contract with the Defense Department, no. You are a company right now trying to provide services to ICE. If you can see in the news, the dynamics of ICE right now is high-powered, fast-paced. Everything about your capability statement should lead to, I can operate in a high, intense environment. I don't get, you want to speak to who you trying to make your customer. It's important that your capability statement measures with what the way their agency operates. Okay.
Now, also, I want y'all to pay attention on my capability statement. It shows that what makes me different is my proven track record, right? Anybody can say they do something, but who got the track record to back them up? Then you got my direct experiences with counties, municipalities, and regional partners. Those are my past performance clients. They write letters of recommendation for me. I can get a letter of recommendation for any response that I'm responding to. Most people can't get that. Most people don't have those relationships with people.
And if you notice on her past performance, if you look at the differentiators, the work that she says she does, and the core competencies, and you look at her NACE codes, it's all administrative or somehow related to the work that she says she does. She's an event planner, so it talks about catering. She does workforce and development and all that. So it talks about business administration, office administration, business support. So you just want to make sure that they align.
And the other thing too, C28, you always want to lead with your heavy hitters. So y'all past performance always need to start with DOD. I don't care who else you did business with. DOD is the most important one. Mine is Loudoun County, because everybody knows Loudoun County is the richest county. The richest county. So when people know that I did business with Loudoun County, which is the richest county, one of the hardest counties to work with, I'm clear. I'm good.
And in the state of Virginia, when you register with EVA to try to get state contracts, sometimes counties will actually have their own website. So it may tell you to re-register with somebody else, so you get your notices directly from them.
And also keep in mind that every county solicitation does not go on the state portal. So you are going to have to do your due diligence to see if that opportunity may never. So some people always say, how did I miss that? You missed it because you only went to the state portal. You never checked the county website. The county is where it was listed at. Because it's an additional step for them to put it on the state portal. Or sometimes you go to the state and it's a one-pager and it gives you a link to the county portal. Williamsburg, Virginia, they are good at that. They never put their solicitations actually in the state portal. They put one sheet and they direct you right back to their individual portal.
Fairfax is the same. Yes. EVA. Yep. EVA.
Mm-hmm. Yep. Yeah. How many of y'all are not registered in EVA? That's where all our contracts are at for the state. So if you go there, let me tell you how to cheat. If you go there, look at all the contracts, regardless of what they send you. So once you get registered in there, they're going to email you contracts every day. Every single day, they're going to email you contracts based on the codes you told them you do. Okay? Now, if I were y'all, remember I said 3. At least sign up for 3. What you're going to learn is all 3 of their portals are different. None of the state portals are the same. When you sign up, each one of them are going to send you different stuff. They're going to send you stuff for their stuff, right? But they have a house of all the contracts. The reason why I tell people to look at all the contracts when you have time, because if you use one code, but that agency used a different code, they're never going to email it to you because the agency coded it differently. So you miss opportunities if you don't just take a minute once a week to go and look at everything they got out. Because it might be something you can actually do. You just didn't know you could do it because the agency didn't know the right way to list it. For example, sometimes they list event planning as logistics. I'm thinking of trucking. When you're talking about logistics, they coded an event planning contract logistics. I almost missed it had the contracting officer not sent it to me directly.
And sometimes they do that because if the RFP itself is multifaceted, they're going to identify the code tied to the greatest amount of work.
Yep.
So you have to read through. And again, this goes back to your relationships. Okay, so maybe I do logistics. She does the event planning portion, but that's where the relationships come in. Don't just not bid for something, just, okay, I just need that piece right there. And sometimes in the state, because I got a contract with Richmond, they awarded everybody the contract, but the contract had 13 elements on it. You can identify sometimes which elements you want to compete for, you want to be considered for. You don't always have to compete for the entire contract.
And let me tell y'all, the state of Virginia is one of the only states that I know that allow you to actually on the contract put that you want to be a sub. So say you say, I don't want to bid on that contract, but if you need support, they allow you to list your company as a person interested in doing part of the work. So what happens as a prime, anytime it's Virginia and I win a contract, that's the first place I go to check to see who said they was interested in helping me. Because now I don't have to go out and find people. Another thing that I do that I cheat, I shouldn't tell y'all my secrets, but I'm going to tell y'all. When companies put it on there, I reach out to them and say, hey, I saw you was interested. How about you come on with me? You no longer have to wait on somebody. I'm going to actually write you in the contract with me, and now we're going on together.
Okay. So websites, your business website needs to be truly, truly, truly indicative of what you do and how it helps the government or how it helps whoever it is you're trying to, service. If your website talks solely about you, I do this, I did that, that's great. But if I can't see something that's results driven, I did this in this environment and it produced this type of efficiency, you have to talk about what their pain points are. Just remember that. So your website is not for you. Your website is for them.
Now, you should have your capability statement on your website because remember, your job is to make it easy for the government. Okay? If they got to go and click 50 times to get to your capability statement, they ain't looking. I promise you they ain't looking.
No, we're not looking.
They're going to go on to the next thing. The other thing is, and this is where a lot of newbies go wrong, they go after 50 different types of contracts and they done updated their website 50 different times. If you stay in your arena, you never got to update your contract, your website. Only time you got to update your website is if you out there lying talking about all these different things that you do. Now you got to keep updating your website because you're trying to make sure that all these things show. One thing that people don't know, I know IT probably know this, people can see how many times you changed your website. They can see that. Nobody wants to see that you changed your website 60 times in the last 2 weeks. Something's not right.
And I can tell you, one of the things that the federal government does, if you consistently bid on contracts with the same agency and all your categories, all your submissions are for different types of work, you're discrediting yourself.
They won't contract with you.
They won't contract with you because yesterday you were janitorial, today you're financial management, tomorrow you're strategic analysis, next week you're going to be cybersecurity. I don't know who you are, so you've got no credibility because you've told me 4 different things.
So that's just happened with me this month, y'all. This month, Williamsburg, I met the contracting officer. She fell in love with me. Event planning contract, y'all. It was a $100,000 contract, and somebody they came to me and they said final and best offer, and the contracting officer said, I need you to give me a good number. I said, well, what did the other people give you? She said, I can't tell you, but give me a good number. I said, cool, 90,000. Their budget was 100,000. I'm not going no lower than that because I know you got 100,000 to spend. This retarded bid 50,000. So they gave him the contract. But I personally know this contracting officer. How about in the next week, she put out 4 more contracts. All 4 of those contracts was something I actually could do. But I did not bid on them under my company because I know she knows me as the event planner. She's not going to give me a contract for strategic planning. She's not going to give me a contract for workforce development. She is only going to give me a contract for event planning, because that's what I interviewed and convinced her I could do. So what I did, I reached out to my mentees and I said, Cassandra, you do strategic planning. You go after this contract. If you win, just bring me in. I was able to get people to go on all 4 of those contracts without me touching it, but still giving us the opportunity to get a piece of the pie. That's relationships. Now, I could have been foolish enough to bid on them, but I know they're not going to give it to me. Why am I wasting my time?
Yes. Professional headshots, bios for yourself and your key team members. Key team members, not all your members.
Yes. Do not put you only want between 3 and 5 people on that contract. And that's all based off the budget, y'all. So I had a person that lost, I had a mentee that lost the contract. She had 19 people on the contract. Contract was only $80,000. Can you explain how you're gonna pay 19 people with an 80,000? The numbers don't make sense. I don't care if it's a multi-million-dollar contract, unless the contract specifically say fill all these roles, you're gonna put your core team on there. That's it.
And that's essentially at the management level. But that's the other thing about the federal government. $80,000, 19 people. They won't consider that company because somebody's potentially about to not get paid. And
Correct.
The government is not going to be associated with anything that deals with any type of discrimination. Again, it's about mitigating risk. If you present like you are going to bring risk to the government, they're not going to deal with you.
That is correct.
Okay. Okay, so as we go on, so your registrations and your certifications, SAM, again, that's the system, your SBA profile. Your community should have an SBA office in it. Don't try to do all this stuff by yourself. Don't try to do like for me, when I did my certifications, the SBA person did the application for me. I couldn't tell you to this day what she did. I didn't even realize it was for 5 years. I was like looking to renew it the next year until I actually read it. That's my fault. I got a little lazy, but there is an office out there that will help you, do all this stuff.
So those are resource partners, y'all. You have, we used to have more, but Trump done wiped them out. So vets actually have their own resource office, which is called VBOT. How many of y'all heard of VBOT? Great organization. Please connect with them. Then you have SBDC, which is the Small Business Development Center. Then you have PTAC. PTAC is actually federal only. If you come to them talking about help me with state, they're gonna tell you that's not our field. Go to SBDC. SBDC helps with state. SBDC will help you with your state registration and will help you with that state portal. Virginia has SDSB, I think. I just did a program with them. They actually are over the EVA portal. They'll walk you through how to work it and all this other stuff. So you have agencies, you have resource partners that can actually support you and help you. SCORE has people inside of SCORE that specialize in government contract. I'm not a SCORE mentor because I mentor in real life. So when SCORE recruited me, I didn't want there to be a conflict of interest. So I told them I can't mentor for you. So they said, well, we want you. How about you be our workshop presenter? Well, I'm the only one in my chapter that has the government contracting experience. So anytime they get a client, they ask me to come on with the mentor to actually help them with government contracting, because SCORE technically does not do government contracting, but now they have recruited government contractors with experience. And so you can actually get support. And on SCORE website, you can actually see what the mentors specialize in. So if you ever see one that is specialized in government contracting, join that one. They're free. All of your resource partners are free. Now, they don't have the capacity to help a lot of people, so you may only meet with them once a month. But let me tell y'all the secret. I meet with them because they know where all the money is at. I'll never forget, my PTAC person called me on Christmas and said, hey, the SBA want to interview you. They want to do a roundtable with you. You want to make it? Yep. The next day, hey, I got an agency with a very large contract. They want me to give them somebody to give it to. Guess who they gave that contract to? Me. That was relationships. I don't need my PTAC, my SBA, or my SCORE, my SBDC, or my SCORE person. I know more than them. But I keep them around for relationships because they're getting information from the federal government that might be information that I don't get. And then half the time I get information, they like, who told you? I'm like, I can't tell you. But that's how relationships work.
Okay, so certifications. There are several types of certifications that you can get. As women, we can help more than men because there are women-owned small businesses. There are minority business, owners, enterprises. There are service-disabled veterans, and then there are veteran-owned. Those are different.
Yep.
One carries a little bit more weight than the other one because of the disability.
Yep.
Veterans Affairs first commitment is to the veteran,
Yep.
specifically the service disabled veteran.
Yep.
So you should have, if you're a disabled veteran or a veteran, you should have a VOSB or you should have a SDVOSB.
And by law, every agency has to spend so much of their funding with us, those set aside.
And you do have to prove it. And right now, that's the only set aside that's actually being respected.
Yep.
But you still get your certifications anyway, because at some point set asides will come back. And states do business with set aside, and sometimes big companies still do business with set aside capacities. So maintain your certifications, get your certifications. They're essential, if not for the state or not for the federal level, just for your own capacity and the relationships that you build. Okay. And then, so getting into this thing says half bathroom. I don't even know why.
Why does this say half bathroom? What we
But
change?
so your business accounting system. So like Latasha said, and this is a part of what I preach in Grace and Consulting. Know your numbers.
Yeah.
I don't care who do your numbers. You have to know your numbers because you're responsible for your numbers. When that accountant got paid that money last year to report those bad numbers that you didn't realize were wrong, that was still on you. You have to own that. So know your numbers. The one thing about government, some of your contracts, some of your RFPs will say that you have to report to the entity that's contracting with you what your payment plan is for your subs. That is because the government does not ever want to be tied to Keith Casil not paying Kirk. They don't want that, because it's not going to be that C2H got a contract with the federal government. Well, A&B Creatives is a sub on that contract. Well, A&B Creative is not walking around talking about, I got a contract with C2H. They're talking about, I got a contract with the government.
Yep. What you got
that's a story that's going to be told. So it's important that you be prepared to show the government how are you going to handle payments and how you're going to pay your subs, because ultimately they don't want that shame brought on them. Somebody had a question?
Yeah. Yes. So it's a lot going on with that right now.
Yeah.
DOD, so anybody that's trying to work with DOD and those agencies, you have to do that first level CMMC, right? They are pushing that really heavy because they're trying to stop other people from being able to contract. But there was a time where they said, oh, we're going to make them do it. And they were like, no, we can't make everybody do it because it was knocking too many people out. So they're going back and forth about what is required and what's not. So what's happening is some of the agencies are making it a flat out rule. You have to have it. But then there are other agencies with smaller budgets that can't require, because then they will never be able to get rid of that money. It's like, we'll give away with it this time, but next time you have to have it.
Well, you do. Yes, you do have to have those type. Yes. So so all your RFPs, especially for the federal government, but even state and local, especially if there's some type of security risk, national security risk, it will state the different type of compliances that you have to have provide in the response.
Yes.
Like, for instance, if you're going after a contract with the federal government and there is a security code or security classification tied to that contract, you may be required to prove that you have a secured facility. So it's again, it's about your capability statement. If you have a secured facility, that is one of your capabilities. That's one of your differentiators, because everybody doesn't have one.
But it will tell you. So here's another thing that people go wrong. Don't give them more than what they ask for. Don't run out and go get, especially insurance. So there's another big thing that's happening right now. Something went wrong. We don't know what. Prior to last year, you never had to have auto insurance. That wasn't even a thing ever. Mid 2025, and now they are rewriting contracts and requiring auto insurance. But here's the trick, y'all. I have a Benz. I literally have it in my company name. My contracts require $1 million policy. My Benz don't have no dang $1 million policy because I'm not a logistics trucking company. It has regular insurance. I've never lost any of my contracts because of my regular insurance. The reason being is because something happened and the government said, put it in all the contracts. But you technically don't have to have that in order for you to win the contract. So when you start studying this customer, you're going to learn a lot. Okay? People put in the contracts automatic, or people go out and get insurance because the contract said you have to have insurance. You don't have to have that insurance until you are awarded that contract. So when you're responding, you are going to say, I plan to comply with the insurance requirement. Another thing, contracts will tell you you have to have workers' comp. There's laws behind insurance. You only have to have workers' comp depending on your state laws. They have tried to make me get workers' comp for the last 14 years. I don't have workers' comp because you have to have more than 5 employees on payroll in the state of Virginia in order for you to get workers' comp. I have argued with contracting officers. Tell your legal team to talk to my legal team, and I've never. And if I move right past that stage, you got to know the law and you need to know the requirement. And even though they put stuff in those contracts sometimes, you don't know how it's gonna end because half the time they don't know, and another half the time their legal team told them they had to put it in there, and the other time if they don't tell you it's needed, don't be volunteering to go get it unless they require you to go and get it.
And Richmond for sure requires vehicle insurance, and they require insurance before the contract is awarded. Well, at the end of the day, if you're not paying me, I shouldn't incur this cost.
Correct. Legally, you cannot force me to go and get insurance for a contract that I might get. No, but a lot of people didn't know that you can actually put the language in there that says, I will comply once awarded. There was a lot of people that was running out going to get $1 million policies, and you don't even know if you're going to get the contract. They didn't say, I had a contract that they told me I had to pay for the whole contract up front. They told me they wasn't paying for the contract until the end of the contract. I said, this is a $300,000 contract. So when I responded, I told them in the contract, you're going to pay me by milestone. How you think I got paid on that contract? By milestone. My Loudoun County contract, the first contract I got with them, they were like, it was a $100,000 contract. They wanted me to pay all their bills up front. So when I got that second year contract, I said, y'all got to change these terms. I need y'all to give me $50,000 up front, and then I will pay the rest of your bills. They wanted me to win that contract, so they changed their terms. You get to negotiate. You get to negotiate. If they really want you or they really need you, they're going to do what they need to do because half the time they don't even know what they're doing, y'all. They're not the subject matter experts.
No, they're not. Which brings me to the last part, your strategy.
Oh.
Don't target every agency. You're too small for that. Big business don't even target every agency until they have a partner. So don't target every agency. That's a lot of energy and a lot of effort, and you're not going to get the attention that you need. I would recommend that you create a proposal response template that allows you to answer the questions all the time. Specifically, I would encourage you to include what I built as a compliance matrix. And what it is it takes the statement of work, or it takes the objectives, and by page, it allows me to answer it. So this C4 asks for this type of service. Well, I answered it on this page. Well, C5 asked for this. Well, I answered it on this page. That's not necessarily for them, but it does help them, but it's more for you because it helps you to ensure that you answered everything that they asked you for. Like she said, build relationships, get a team. Our skills don't have to align. You got the past performance. I'm a financial educator. Okay, I may see something that I need or that I want to go after, and I can go after it with you as my partner because you're more established in the federal sector than I am. So you don't have to necessarily align with like businesses. You can align with complementary businesses, or you can just align with somebody that's completely opposite of you. It's just all about who's better positioned to take the lead at the time that the lead needs to be taken. Any questions?
All right, so we're going to take a 10-minute bathroom break. And then when we come back, we're going to do Q&A, and we're going to play an ebook for a little bit. Okay? 10-minute break.